and we could feel it, and just a big fireball.
Residents forced to evacuate after a fire guts a southeast Portland home. A live report at noon. Plus, thousands of Oregonians hitting the streets for May Day as Americans across the country push back against the current administration and support workers' rights. Plus, an urgent recall for more than 250,000 nasal spray bottles. What to look out for this afternoon. And we're following a fire this noon that destroyed a southeast Portland home early this morning. A couple of Portland firefighters suffered minor burns while fighting that fire. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon. Thomas Schultz joins us live from where it happened on Southeast Stark and 30th Place. Thomas, what's happening out there now?
Yeah, Tim, the scene is now wrapped up here, but you can see right behind us, look, the smoldering in this home is continuing here on Southeast 30th in Stark. That home completely destroyed. The roof caved in hours ago here in Southeast Portland. Now, fortunately, there were no serious injuries. Around 5:30 this morning, 45 firefighters were here spraying hundreds of gallons of water on this home. A couple firefighters suffered minor burns, but they were actually able to continue working to extinguish the fire. It's unclear how this all started, though. Portland Fire and Rescue spokesperson Rick Graves tells us this home was being remodeled. Workers were here late last night. It's unclear if that remodeling work had anything to do with this fire. Fortunately, firefighters were able to knock it down quickly this morning and prevent it from spreading to nearby homes, which is actually really impressive because these homes here in the Southeast Portland neighborhood are only about 5 feet away from each other. So if that had spread, this fire could have spread even more in the area. Graves says that quick response is all due to Portland Fire having the resources needed to respond quickly.
If we don't have the available engine, if the second engine is delayed coming in, we don't get water to this first rig. This first rig almost ran out of water, utilizing so much so quickly upon arrival.
Portland Fire is facing a $4 million cut in Mayor Keith Wilson's budget proposal. Graves says that would have a big impact on the fire department's services if it does go through. Now, after knocking down this fire earlier this morning, the investigation into how this started has begun. That is something that is still underway, but you can see out here live, Tim, once again, great work by Portland Fire and Rescue by preventing this fire from spreading down the street. But of course, for this home on this corner of Southeast Place and 30th, it's a long road to recovery. Tim.
Yeah, Thomas, you can see it right there. Thanks for the report. Well, we are working to learn more about what authorities call an accident that killed a ski bowl employee on Mount Hood yesterday morning. One other employee was also injured. The two were in a maintenance basket around 9:30 working on the upper bowl chairlift. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says some sort of malfunction caused the basket to fall to the ground onto rugged terrain. A third person in the crew did CPR until medics could get to them. The Sheriff's Office called this a workplace death, and OSHA plans to investigate. Well, today is May 1st, also known as May Day. It's a day traditionally filled with action and activism, and there are several events planned across the Portland metro area. Right now in Portland, workers and migrants are gathering in the park lots at Southwest Park and Jefferson to push back against the Trump administration. Historically, May Day events honor the contributions of workers, so organizers are asking people to not go to work or school and to refrain from spending money.
Demanding, ICE out of our state, a pathway to citizenship for our immigrant communities, a fair economy, and democracy for everyone.
And throughout the gatherings across Portland, law enforcement agencies say that they will keep watch to ensure the First Amendment events remain peaceful. Well, labor unions across the country are holding May Day rallies as well to support workers' rights. This is a look at teachers walking out of school in Raleigh, North Carolina. Labor unions across Europe are also holding May Day rallies today. Hundreds of protesters gathered in central Istanbul, where May Day is a public holiday in Turkey. Well, new at noon, retired law enforcement officers and firefighters are taking Washington State to court, saying a new law illegally takes money out of their retirement fund. Among the plaintiffs is former King County Sheriff Dave Reichert. The lawsuit filed yesterday in Seattle alleges the state plans to move $3.3 billion out of the pension system for retired officers and firefighters. Governor Bob Ferguson signed that law last month. It dissolves the pension plan in 2029 and replaces it with a new system, redirecting its surplus of $3.3 billion to the state to address a budget shortfall. But the plaintiffs argue that money belongs solely to members and beneficiaries. They're asking a judge to declare the law unconstitutional. All right, taking a live look from our Rose City Sky Cam this afternoon. Just setting up to be a beautiful, warm weekend ahead. Meteorologist Rod Hill is up on the weather deck with more on all of that. Rod?
Yeah, it's perfect up here right now, Tim. Hi, everybody. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's not clear, but it's mostly sunny in all directions around downtown Portland. You will notice the temperature is going to more stay in that comfort zone today after we reached 82 yesterday, which of course became the first 80-degree temperature here in the Rose City of 2026. I am up here on the weather deck, brought to you by Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking. I do want to start in Lincoln City, where a marine deck so far is staying very solid. This is the scene up and down the coast at noon. You can see the solid cloudiness from our Snook Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. Temperature outside is holding, or will hold only in the 50s during the day today. I'm going to tell my director, Chris Paz, that my iPad's not working, Chris. So if you can hit the magic button for me. Thank you. Well, I just said they'd hold in the 50s and they're at 60 degrees right now. Sometimes when a weatherman is forced to stretch, he lies. Here's a look at the Reserve Golf Course. Beautiful sunshine out in this direction. Temperature is 65 degrees, really comfortable outside. And this next camera should have the temperature come on automatically. This is that Rose City vantage point that we just showed you. And here comes the temperature at noon of 65. One more map. This should show you the temperature progression this afternoon. We will continue to be mostly sunny and all dry. And this shows only about 72. I think we could go as high as 74, but Tim's certainly comfortable. Now coming up, what you alluded to, the weekend forecast, we have hot temperatures returning, and also there's a thunderstorm chance. We'll talk about that more coming up in a few minutes. For now, Tim, back to you.
All right, Rod, thank you very much. And the tulips blooming very nicely behind you there. Great. Well, here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. President Trump announced this morning that Iran extended another peace proposal, and he says he's not satisfied with it. The U.S. has been locked in a standoff with Iran for nearly 4 weeks since a temporary ceasefire was announced. While peace talks have appeared to be stalled, the president said no one knows what's happening behind the scenes except for him and a handful of others. ExxonMobil and Chevron both reported a sharp drop in profits for the first quarter of the year, which is likely to change going forward as oil prices rise amid the war with Iran. ExxonMobil reported net income of $4.2 billion, a 46% drop from a year ago. Chevron's $2.2 billion net profit was a 37% drop year to year. The ongoing conflict in Iran and the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz has caused oil prices to skyrocket since late February, triggering higher gas prices. Well, Bayer has recalled travel-size bottles of its original nasal spray. It's because the medicine does not have child-resistant tops, and that poses a risk of serious illness or injury from poisoning if children swallow the contents of those bottles. The recall only affects the small 6 milliliter bottles. If you have a bottle that is not expired, take a photo of it and then throw it away. Then you can go online to livewell.bayer.com and look for the Afrin Original Spray recall to request a refund. Well, we're getting our first look at what federal prosecutors say is new video showing the alleged gunman in the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. The footage appears to show the suspect scoping out the hotel one day before the attack. NBC White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has more.
Overnight, the Justice Department releasing this chilling new surveillance video of the man charged with trying to assassinate President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Prosecutors say it shows Cole Allen casing the Washington Hilton the day before the attack. This video shows him looking around the hotel's gym, walking down hallways. The night of the shooting, these photos released by the DOJ show Allen taking a selfie while wearing a vest holding knives and pliers. New evidence photos also show bags of ammunition inside his room, as well as a gas mask and protective glasses. Higher resolution security video shows Allen walking down a hallway wearing a dark coat, apparently discarding it out of frame minutes later when he's seen bolting through a metal detector as an officer opens fire.
All the evidence that I've seen, the suspect shot our officer point blank range with a shotgun. Our officer heroically returned fire.
The Secret Service director says this was not a case of friendly fire hitting the officer, who was wearing a protective vest.
The site was set up perfectly. I will tell you, I would not change the site again.
While the president has repeatedly praised the Secret Service, he did question whether the building could have been more secure.
There's always room for improvement, right? And he got into the building. You know, when you have 1,000 rooms sitting on top of a ballroom, and you have the elevators coming down right near the entrance, it's a pretty tough situation.